Just Energy with naturopath and medical intuitive Dr. Rita Louise. We have learned from Einstein's theories that matter and energy are one. Physicists believe that all systems in nature have their own particular way of vibrating. From the swing of a pendulum to the waves in the ocean to the light that brightens the sky each day, each of these oscillates at its own unique rate. In the same way, things such as rocks and minerals vibrate very slowly and at speeds that are imperceptible to us. Living things such as plants, animals, and man vibrate faster and appear to be alive. The same holds true for every thought, feeling, event, or word we speak. Each has its own frequency or rate of vibration. What many of us don't realize is if we take everything in our own universe down to its simplest form, it is all just energy. Join Dr. Rita as she explores questions such as, what are we made of? Why do we get sick? How can I live a more balanced and whole life? Call in and talk to her and her thought-provoking guest. Send us your questions and get the help you need to move beyond any obstacles or challenges that may be affecting your life, right from the source. So stay tuned and explore your possibilities.
Alrighty, we are live, Just Energy Radio. Wiz's voice. I'm sitting in for Dr. Rita Louise today. James Duffy-Yanchik, known as the Black Knight, talk radio and host of Feet to the Fire Radio. Been doing it for about 8 years now, and Dr. Rita has been a guest for a good percentage of, of those years, off and on. And so she was out and about, going around with her traveling reading show and so forth. So she asked me to sit in today, and I said, yeah, it'd be fun. She's been on the show many times. I've actually been a guest on her show, so it'd be fun to do the hosting. This is my first time doing a blog talk radio show. So in the event that I happen to hang up on myself, both guests and listeners, just hang in there. I'll be right back. Our first guest for the hour is Suzane Northrop. She is a nationally recognized trance medium and an expert in psychic phenomena. For the past 30 years, she has bridged the gap between the world of the living and the spirit world. Suzane has authored a medium's cookbook, Recipes for the Soul, Second Chance, Healing Messages from the Afterlife, Everything Happens for a Reason. That's available in both a print and audiobook format, translated into Japanese and Russian. Oh, very good. And The Seance, Healing Messages from Beyond. The website is theseance.com. And welcome to Just Energy Radio, Suzane Northrop.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
I talk to dead people. Now, that sounds kind of eerie for some, but I know from some talking to other mediums that I've known that is actually very exhilarating. How did you get involved in talking to dead people?
I don't think it's something that you get involved with. I think it gets involved with you. But I had this as a very young person. I got this gift as a child, and been doing it professionally for over 30 years. And I think that there's first of all there's a lot of misconceptions because it's really, first of all, we don't die. The body's the only thing that dies. That's number one, and you know that about energy because that's what Dr. Rita Louise is all about. And essentially it's a continuum of that energy. So in relationship to the continuum of that energy, it's basically all based in love. So we don't stop loving people because they leave their body, nor do they stop loving us. So it's really a continuum of that energy. And we all have access to it. I mean, obviously I've done this professionally for a long time, so mine's going to be a little bit different. But it's something that we not only have access, but quite literally, when we only physically lose people that we love, and they make their transition, their jobs quite literally is to let us know in any way that they can that they are fine and well to help us in our process because we're the one in the physical bodies that go through the grief thing. So they do. So whether or not I do this professionally or not is one thing. The thing that's the most important is that is their job to make connections to us. and they do this in varieties of ways. So it's really, I know that sometimes people have, certain ideas about it, but, when I really try to, phase it to the place that it's really about love, and it's about that continuum of love, because it's really what it's about. My work is really not about the dead people. My work is about living and making that connection with those that they've lost.
So if you've been chosen, so people would this kind of sneaks up on you, or it drops on you? Is it something from a childhood? Do all of a sudden you hit adolescence, or some sort of spiritual adolescence?
I had this gift as a child. I had the gift when I was about 5 years old, and I had my first, intense, I would say, experience when I was 13, and, I lost my paternal grandmother, and that was, I guess, sort of the first time that I'd had contact with somebody that I saw, obviously, in both levels, one that was in the body and then left her body and made her visitations to me. And I think when you're young, it really depends on your circumstances or your surroundings. It really have an awful lot to do on how you do or you don't deal with it in your life.
Well, here's a question I've always often wondered. We hear about reincarnation and whatnot, and yet when someone dies, their spirit is still around. Is there an oversoul who you're talking to, or is it between incarnations, or how does that work?
Well, that's a kind of a complicated question to something that's basically pretty simple. But let me just sort of say this to you. When we make our transitions, and whoever that's connected to you make your transition, that connection of love is a continuum. Meaning that it's a continuum is that when they make the connection to us, or they let us know, or in the ways that they let us know, it's really that connection of love. And kind of, I guess the best analogy that I could sort of explain to it is that we're talking on the phone, and people are listening on the internet. They're using this box for all intents and purposes, because that's what a radio is. A radio is a box. A computer is a box. But all these frequencies and all these energies go through that box. Well, our mind is like a box, and our brain acts as the frequencies of making that connection of love come through. So it's really more likened to, and I try to tell people to not get, first of all, hung up on the reincarnation or all of that stuff, because first of all, if they're still connected to you, they're going to remain connected to you, I promise you, probably for the rest of your life. Even if they, for some reason, come back into the body and reincarnate, which does not happen that fast, generally as a rule. But that connection of love remains. So there's always access to that irregardless. That makes that continuum. So when we are going through things in our life, like having maybe a bad day, and all of a sudden, we may think out of the blue, we'll think about this person that we love, and then all of a sudden, we're driving down the road, and we look up and we see a car in front of us, and in that car, there's a license plate, and on that license plate is the name of this person that we love. Now, so what are the odds of that happening? It's pretty big, but those are the little things that I believe are the big things of how they make connection to us. The number one contact is. Go ahead.
How would that work in a constructional sense? Is it because since we didn't look at the license plate, therefore it doesn't really, what was on it is irrelevant, and then it's changed? So when we look at it, we see it, or are we seeing a different license plate? When we look back, it's back to where it was. I mean, do you have any idea how the mechanics is behind that?
No, this is okay. This is not an illusion. This is real. Okay, this is physical. This is not like it was there and it went away. No, this is physical. Okay, we are having an emotional day. And all of a sudden we're having an emotional day, and we start to think about this person that we love that has passed over. And then all of a sudden, like a couple of hours later, we're driving down the road, and, we're in our own little worlds, because most people are in their own little worlds driving down the road. And we happen to look up, and this car in front of us on the license plate is the name of the person we were thinking about. This is real.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how that, so that from the beginning of time, the universe knew that we would be there at that point thinking that way, therefore that person's car is there, or I'm just trying to figure out how that works out.
Okay.
Is it just something you just accept and that's it, or because I mean?
No. You're creating. You're creating like a whole kind of a. All right. I guess maybe I'll have to try to explain it to you in a different term. Do you believe in dreams?
Well,
do you believe in the power of dreams?
The power of dream, I would imagine so. I don't know what the power of dream is, but
okay. Do you believe that dreams are either messages in our life, or they act as conduits, or they're messages for us in our life for lots of different reasons?
Yeah, I mean, there's various reasons for dreams. I think one of which is messages, information, connection with subconscious, connection with higher conscious, or perhaps I had a bad meal the night before. But all of them could happen at different times.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that? Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that we go on? Do you believe that we go on from death?
Yeah. I mean, if I tell you personally, if I thought that we were simply just non-soul, animals, chemical reactions that come and go, I would have been gone a long time ago.
Okay.
Life is not worth
so
living.
If you believe we go on, you believe that there's a continuum of energy, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and so do you believe that the strongest energy in life is love?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. Forget about all the semantics or it's love. That love continues. When you pass, when you leave your body, I promise you those people that you have left here will continue to love you, and I assure you when you go over wherever you go, you will continue to love them because love is the most powerful source there are.
Right. I was just curious in the mechanics and how
the mechanics are based in the mechanics are based in love. And they're based in love, meaning that when somebody leaves a physical body, because they love you, because they know on some state emotionally you're in grief, and because they love you, they find ways of letting you know that somehow they're still around you, their energy is still around you, their love is around you, that is a continuum. Somehow they do that. They do that because they love you. So they will find ways, and there are numerous ways.
Well, I'll give you an example of one. I'll give you an example of one thing that I had, and it wasn't even a human; it was an animal. We had guinea pigs for several years, and then one died. And I had a flash where I saw the face of the guinea pig, and it was like just for a second, just this white flash. Everything's washed out. The guinea pig there, and inside, I felt, thank you for giving me this opportunity to have this life, because we fed him well and took care of him and so on like that. And I thought that was kind of humorous. I'm like, I just got a message from a guinea pig, but that's what happened to me. I got no other explanation for it other than that's what really happened.
I have no doubt that it did, and I have no doubt that you were getting that message, because as you see, it does happen, boom, in a flash. Most of it does happen very quick, because the way it comes in through our brain or our radio set is very fast. Frequencies are very, very fast. If you think about, when we talk about distancing from, from the sun to energy back to here, it takes a long time, but an instant in thought is very fast. So when we think of something, that thought moves, boom. And sometimes we don't catch it, sometimes we do, but those moments that we do, which you did, are very powerful.
It was. I mean, if you talk to somebody, you say, look, you heard from a guinea pig. What, are you nuts? I go, well, I mean, this is what happened to me. Take it or leave it.
Because every being on Earth is a life force. Every being on Earth has a soul. Every being is energy. And because energy is all based in that connection, and because this being was very well aware of your connection to love for them, because you took very wonderful care of them. So it was like saying, that was really cool that you did that. And so it's a moment. And people that are animal people, they will tell you they have those moments all the time. They'll also tell you that when that animal has passed, they will feel their presence. They will feel them jump on their bed. They will smell them. They will know that they're in the room. People that are animal people will definitely tell you that happens. It's all based in love. So, yes, you got it. You got it. That's exactly how it works.
And what about the, we'll call it the negative part of that? I also had an experience where my girlfriend's mother, who was quite abusive and evil, came by. I knew something was going on. I don't know what, because I'm not really I have an empathy. I could pick up energy. But I had, I think it was Dr. Rita mentioned, and maybe another guest, that they described who it was, and I figured out who it was, and I kind of said they have to leave, and they did. But there was no, like, heads turning and, walls falling over or nothing. It was just kind of a negative presence. Does that sound reasonable?
Well, first of all, everything is energy. And, I'm not going to go and tell you that every energy is wonderful, because it's not. Because if somebody is not of right mind or not what you would call a nice person, then, they're going to send out a certain amount of that energy. And if we are sensitive to this, we're going to pick it up. So is that what you're asking me, or?
No, I guess. I was just saying, if this sounds like reasonable occurrences from your experience of real events. I mean, it seemed real to me, and it went away after they were done, and
Mm-hmm.
So.
Was this person living, or?
No, they died.
They had passed. Okay. What I would say to you is this: I think that you might have been picking up. And I can't say for sure, because everybody's experience is really individual. So I'm not going to try to make you think one thing or another. A person's energy is another person's energy. I can tell you that no one can enter your vibration without your permission. That's fact. That's number one. You could have been picking up a lot of different things. It could have been an after effect of something. But I can assure you, when somebody leaves their body, they cannot enter your vibration, nor can they do anything that you do not allow. So you might have been just picking up an energy just because of this is the way this person was when they were physically here. I assure you that it's a different process when we make our transition. That does not mean that, we become a goody two-shoes when we die, because there's a process in that. But what it does mean is that there is a different energy that changes. And no one can enter you or have any kind of an effect, anything to do with you, that you have not allowed at that point. So
yeah, I saw that. It's once I addressed it that they were gone. And
that's exactly, then you did the right thing.
They weren't necessarily like evil, like trying to do something. It's just I got a sense of more of a sadness, melancholy, but still the person did a pretty good reputation, so I didn't want to fool around.
Well, you could have been picking up a melancholy because of just the process of grief. That by itself.
Have you talked to famous people, so to speak, when you have done any?
Many.
And just example one, or
I can't give you people's names because that's a privacy issue.
Oh, okay.
But and it doesn't really matter if somebody is famous or infamous while they were living. It's still irrelevant. Everybody is. My job is not connecting with them because they're known. The only reason I connected with them was because I had a client that was connected to them. That's the only purpose involved. Period. There's no reason for me to make a connection. Somebody make a connection. I make a connection because I am acting as an in-between to connect with somebody that loves them and they love them.
So have you ever been in any kind of spiritual battles or whatnot, or is that all just a bunch of Hollywood? Hollywood, they make things Hollywood because you have to do that to have, differences in the movies and all of the above. I think there's always, like in the movie The Sixth Sense, there are certainly moments of truth in that movie about what happens. But if I would have, as a child, would have had some of the trauma things of the weird stuff that they did with this kid, you'd flip out. That does not happen. But Hollywood has licenses, so you take the grain from it. You take the grain from whatever it is that you see that you feel you relate to. Yeah, because some people write things fictionally, and quite literally, some people investigate. Like I was a consultant on the movie The Butcher's Wife with Demi Moore.
they brought me in as a consultant because she hadn't really had, an experience with working with somebody of that capacity. So they brought me in as a consultant on the movie. I can tell you that because I've been credited for that. It's not going into a privacy thing. And so there was truth to that movie about some of the way that it worked because, they took the steps to, contact a professional and, pay me for my services to work with her in the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that in all the movies, Some they do and some they don't.
Well, of course, like everything on news, television, and all that, it's going to be controversy or, drama, crisis. That's what sells. So rarely you're going to get something that's going to be, we'll call it mundane, because who would want to watch it? Who wants truth? They want to have fantasy.
Right, exactly. You can go to the show The Medium, and I can tell you stuff about that because I was around for the studies when that was going on. So, but for drama purposes, license is taken.
Have you ever been used to find like a criminal from a murder or something like that?
I have done some police work. I don't like it. It's not really my thing. There are people that specialize in that, and generally, to be honest with you, they're not generally mediums. They are generally psychics that work with the police, and they're generally brought in the case because the family is still grieving over that loss of that person, and so they will often, bring somebody in to work on a case because, like I said, the police are overwhelmed with everything that they can handle, so they'll often bring in somebody to do that. I don't like doing that work, and I haven't really done that work in several years. I used to do some more, but it's really much more generally psychics that work with detectives that do that kind of work.
Because I was thinking that it would be kind of tough to pick up this energy from somebody who's that evil. It would be kind of disconcerting, if I'm having the energies of a...
Yeah, but you're not picking up the information from the person. That's not where you're picking up the information from. People that work that are working in that capacity, they have their sources, for lack of a better word, that provides them information about the person. They're not getting it from the person who's done the crime.
Oh.
Absolutely not. No, they have, every medium and psychic, healer, whatever it is, they all have their sources of how they get information, and they all get them in a very different way. So somebody who's working on a crime, per se, they have ways that they receive information, and that information they receive are often, maybe what that person may look like, what part of the country that they may be from. Often they'll pick up a name. They'll sometimes pick up a description where the crime has taken place. They're not getting that from the person who did the crime. Absolutely not.
All right, I guess maybe my question or my talk about the guinea pig sparked this in the chat room, but somebody's asking, Jim in the chat room was asking, what happens to ordinary animal spirits? I guess I could rephrase that to say, are all animals have spirits?
Absolutely.
Or some of them are biological machines? Is there any biological machines?
No. All animals have souls. Everything has a soul. Everything is energy. Everything is a life force, period. Trees, all the way down. Everything.
Bacteria?
Say that again?
Bacteria?
Well, if you look at it under a microscope, it moves, doesn't it?
Okay. Well, right. I've heard some people say that when it comes to animal spirits, there's like a soul for species or type. Like all dogs or certain kinds of dogs would share the same spirit or soul versus every single individual having their own.
The difference is that humans have the right to incarnate as individual souls. Animals are part of a group soul. So we don't become animals, they don't become us. So if it's part of a group soul, it would be part of the group soul connected to that animal. So, you could have dogs that might have been wolves because wolves, dogs came from wolves. And they, and then the soul somewhere along the line, when it came in as being a dog, it became domesticated. Domesticated animals have generally, as a rule, relationships with humans, And that relationship continues, believe it or not. That can continue from lifetime to lifetime.
So if you are a dog soul, you're not going to evolve into a human or something else?
No. Not in everything that I've learned in the many years that I've done my work, no. There are certain religions and cultures that believe that. That's not of my belief, or nor that what I've been told in relationship to the soul process.
Okay. Look at the clock. We got probably got about 5 minutes before we go into a break. So I got another question in the chat room. Is you mentioned psychic and mediums, that there's a difference between the two. What would be that differentiation between the two?
The difference is that, there are psychics that act as mediums and mediums that act as psychics. There are some that don't do either or. My job, quite literally as a medium, is an in-between. I act as an in-between. Small, medium, large, I'm a medium. I act as an in-between, connecting to those souls that have crossed over or have gone through the physical death process.
I see. And the psychic information not necessarily connects to the actual individual.
Correct. Psychics will give information like, maybe, what's going on with you personally in your life or professionally in your life or, things of that sort as a rule. They may pick up people that have passed over around you. That's not at all uncommon with a very talented person. And then there are mediums that work just the way that I work. Most kind to do a combination. I never have. This has always been what I do. But, yeah, that's kind of really the definition.
Mm-hmm. So if you, can you talk to somebody on demand, or maybe they'll say no, or they're not available, or just can you?
Are you talking about a dead person?
Yeah.
Yes. If I am working and somebody wants me to connect with somebody that has made their transition, I will, what I call, dial up, and that doesn't mean they're going to show up because there's a free will thing, but more than likely they will, or they will bring somebody with them.
What about, like, historical figures?
Only if I'm connecting with a living person that's connected to them.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you got to have a reason, not just I'm interested in talking to Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
I'd have to be a descendant or something.
Of course, because there's no reason for it, because everything I do is based in love. You got to have a connection.
Well, I never thought about that. Never heard that before. That's interesting.
Well, that's that's the deal.
It makes sense because.
Of course, it makes sense.
If I'm some past moved on entity, why would I want to talk to a stranger?
Right, exactly.
There'd have to be a reason for me as well, and if I'm connected in some way, well, then I'd have a care or a reason too. I imagine, I guess, if the reason was good enough, maybe they'd show up, but I don't know what reason that could be.
Yeah, like I said, this is all based about love. Unless,
I'd really love to talk
I will tell you the unless somebody is a scientist or an inventor, and there may be somebody who did that while they were here, that they've got a connection with them and they're passing on information, and they may not even know that because it's access to that. That would be sort of an exception to the rule, but that would be something that person would have access to, not necessarily of an individual that did that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a moment here to take a break, and we will come back and continue talking with Suzane Northrop. The website, theseance.com. Several books are available through there as well. And so hold on, and we will continue talking. I think it's fascinating to get this perspective. I don't really, this is new to, this is outside of my personal experiences. And that's how we all kind of learn from one another. It's all a multifaceted diamond. We all have to kind of heal each other's experiences to recreate that diamond. So, be right back.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
you sensitive to energy? Want to explore the world beyond the five senses? Looking for a new career as an alternative healthcare practitioner? Then the Institute of Applied Energetics, Medical Intuition, and Energy Medicine Training programs may be right for you. Our comprehensive curriculum provides students with a deep understanding of how to detect, evaluate, and transform the subtle body, as well as techniques for correcting energetic imbalances that may underscore a person's ability to experience radiant health. So if you are sensitive to energy, contact the Institute of Applied Energetics right away. Be a catalyst for changing the way healthcare is done around the world. Visit www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com and start your new career today. How would you like to live long and enjoy great health? How about creating solid bones and whiter teeth? Strengthen your heart and eyes and have radiant, youthful-looking skin. There is an ancient health and longevity secret that has been used for millennia in Egypt, India, and China that can help you achieve this. For the first time in the modern world, Pearlsium brings this ancient wellness secret to you. For more information about Pearlsium, visit www.productsforthesoul.com. Before we get back to the show, I would like to thank all of you for tuning into Just Energy Radio. Many of the people I've helped over the years were listeners just like you. If you're at a junction in your life, don't stand alone at this important time. Call me or send me an email. We can set up a private consultation so that you too can experience health, healing, and wholeness in your life. To find out more about the services I offer, visit www.soulhealer.com.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Who is this voice talking? Well, I'm sitting in for Dr. Rita Louise. I am James Zapianchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio, host of Feet to the Fire. It's on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. for 4 hours. It's a live show. I've been doing it about 8 years. Feet to Fire is the webpage, 2 being a digit, feettofire.com. And check that out. Dr. Rita has been on the show for many years, and she has a monthly Soul Healer Moment, it's called, a monthly, which is coming up this Sunday. She'll be on there. So we'll do that. And also, I'm supposed to mention we have no winner from the trivia question, mind yoga question. The question was, who discovered America? And there was no winner. Now, one might say Columbus, but then we realized the Vikings were here first. And I was talking to Dr. Reed about this, and I actually was saying, well, Vikings and Amerigo Vespucci supposedly was there. Never dawned on me about the Native Americans. Obviously, they figured and discovered America long before those two. And so that was the answer for this week's trivia question, or should say mind yoga question. And let's return with Suzane Northrop, who speaks to spirits. You say speak to dead people, but actually you're speaking to live people who are somewhere else.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty good.
So I don't know. Is there some events that you think might be good to share here? Give an example of some of your experiences you've had.
Well, let's just see here. You mean, give me a sense what you mean, like experiences.
Actually, I guess you might be hard talking about it because it's private. So I don't know if you can talk about, this case, this happened, and that case, that happened.
Well,
I don't know
I
if
can
you
certainly give you circumstances of things that have happened that were other names that were basically used. But what I will tell you this is that I was part of the only documentary of its kind at the University of Arizona, and a documentary. It was called Life After Life. It was done by Linda Illiby, and it came out in 2000. And the whole kind of premise of the documentary was to prove survival of consciousness after death. And so when they wanted to do the documentary, I was contacted and 4 other mediums, and one of the parts that was very significant was that they wanted me to work with a scientist out at the University of Arizona who was in the process of doing a lot of studies. And in his studies, he'd only been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, and he was doing it a little underground because he was a little concerned, and he was a tenured professor, and was a little nervous that he was going to be, taken as a whack or any of the above. And then, they had found out about these studies, and they had contacted him, and they said, listen, if we can give you one of the, some of the top mediums in the country to be part of your studies, will you allow us to be part of the documentary? And he said, absolutely. I mean, he was all for it. For him, it was a really, really big deal. And so that I was contacted, and what happened with the documentary, which was really quite wonderful, is we used. They contacted a woman by the name of Judy Guggenheim, who wrote a book called. It was based on ADCs, or after-death communications, called "Whole from Heaven." And when she wrote this book, it was about all these people, like you and whomever it is, that had had ADCs, after-death communications, with loved ones that's passed over. So they had contacted her and asked her if she knew of anybody that could be, quite literally, used as part of the studies, and that they had to list all the names of all the people that they lost, give their names and information. And of course, we weren't privy to any of this. The mediums are not privy to any of this. And the scientist, the way it worked is that we had to give all the information. He put it through the data, and they had to match some of the information that she basically did. From it, by the way, a book came out called The Afterlife Experiments, which is written by Dr. Gary Schwartz, and it's a great read for anybody that is a combination of sort of science, like-minded, but wants to see where some of the studies has done. But anyway, the woman that had done the studies, that was what we used as the candidate, and that came out of a whole lot of different people. What was fascinating is that what they do when science works on stats. So what they do is they went through all of the stats to figure out what was called yes and no's and how many hits that they were. What was kind of really, really interesting is that if you figure on an average person in terms of accuracy is somewhere like in the lower 40 to 50 percentile in terms of accuracy. As a team, because there was 5 of us, we scored like in the 80 percentile, which is pretty huge. So the way it was proven was, again, this information, and that came through. And, I got the name of her son that died, the name of her husband. The star of the study, interesting enough, was this little dog. You're going to relate to this little dog, Pee-wee, who was her son's favorite dog. And the dog passed about 6 months before her son did. And they came together. And it was fascinating because, all the people that she wrote down in terms of the studies, her mom, her dad, her son that she lost, and, the one she didn't write down was Pee-wee, the little chihuahua. And that was the being that showed up through every medium through all the session, who sort of ended up being the star, interesting enough, of the documentary. So what was wonderful about that is that it was a combination of science, because this is a scientist doing the study, and basically every medium worked very differently, and because it was done, again, by stats, all that information was piled into the computer and then basically came out as level of percentages. So it was a really fascinating study. Every once in a while, HBO shows it, and they usually show it sometime in the summertime, or sometimes they show it right around Halloween and things of that sort. But the documentary is called Life After Life, and it's done by Dr. Gary Schwartz, and he wrote a book that's called The Afterlife Experiments. It's after it came out, and it was real. As a medium doing this for a really, really long time, I have to be honest with you, I was a little reluctant to go and have the wires put on my head and go through this stuff. But once I got done, I was actually really pleased that I went through it. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Alrighty, now are you open to taking calls?
I am open to taking calls.
Can you actually, if somebody wanted to talk to somebody relative now, could you do that now, or is that something you have to get prepared for?
No. Send them on.
All right, we'll see. I'm just going to hit this button here. And hello, you are live on the air talking with Suzane Northrop. Hello?
Hi, are you talking to 609?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry.
I guess you wouldn't know. I have to remember that. This is a kind of new for me. I have a different system that I use, so
Okay.
I guess it's you.
Okay. I wanted to know what Susan, if anybody came through for me.
Okay. First of all, my name is Suzanne. And your name, please?
My name is Anna.
Hi, Anna. How are you doing today?
Fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, generally when I do radio, for the sake of who want to connect with, I don't usually at random say, unless there's somebody specifically you want to connect to. I can certainly do a random thing, but I generally like to have a sense of who you want to connect with. No names, no information about them, mothers, fathers, brothers. That doesn't mean they're going to show up, but I like to do that for the sake of radio and time-wise.
Okay, well, just for my mother and my dad, either or, because I've been talking to them about things.
Okay, got it. Now, first of all, I'm going to give you this, Anna. When I'm picking up here, I'm actually picking up two people. I'm going to tell you your father's there. He's more to the left, which means he's a little more in the background, which might have to do with the distancing of his passing with your mom, because I feel like he passed before her. One of them has something to do with March or May, a birth or passing from what I'm gathering. But I'm also going to tell you, I'm hearing your name twice, Anna, and when I hear the names twice, it means to me that somebody's got your name, first or middle, passed down. I feel I'm from your mother's side of the family, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's her or her mom or on that side, but that's how I'm hearing it. So I'm hearing your name double, which means to me it's honored.
Yes.
Do you understand? Yes.
Yes.
That's just the way that they let me know that they're coming through here. Now, I got to tell you, there is a distance in the passing between your mom and your dad. One of them had a longer-term illness as opposed to the other.
Yes.
Now, unless somebody was a smoker, they had problems in their lungs.
Yes, my dad.
Yeah, because I feel like my lungs are filling up. It's a real heaviness. Do you understand?
I do.
Yes. Now, I'm going to ask you this, Anna. Is it you that has the dead dog or your mom or dad, please?
That has the what? I'm sorry.
The dead dog.
Dead dog?
Mm-hmm.
Well, could be my sister.
Okay. Well, the dog is sitting in my feet, and so I know it's connected to somebody who's connected to you. And this person was very attached to this dog.
Yes.
Very attached. Now, I want to know, is she have the son or you, please? Because they talk about the grandson.
No, nobody has a son.
They're
my
telling me
sister has a son. I'm sorry, my sister has a son.
Thank you. That would be a grandson to your parents, wouldn't it be? Yes?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I get information very, very fast. So you don't have to apologize. It's really fine. And I know sometimes I get it so fast that people don't always connect with it. But it's interesting because one of them was connected to this boy, and I'm also getting an honoring with this boy. So his name was passed on. If it's not through marriage, it's got to be also through your family.
Yes, it's passed on. His name is passed on.
Great. And again, Mama's thanking that for the honor. Now, when your mother comes through here, and I got to tell you, she talks about you being very close.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you lived with her or near her or within physicality at the time of her passing or at the end, but she said very strongly you were there.
I was there with her. I lived with her.
And I'm going to tell you, if you were there or if you were actually there during her passing or right before it, she made sure of it because it comes in as being very strong.
Yes, I was there.
Yeah. And when you're there, they pick you to be there. Now, I'm also going to tell you this quite literally and very, very clearly here. When I'm with your mama, I have tremendous smells. So either she was a big perfume wearer or lots of flowers because it's tremendous smells.
Perfume?
Yeah. And it's very distinct. I mean, it's like this is a very distinctive perfume.
Yes.
Very much so. I'm going to ask you one other thing here, and I know that they like to give chance for other callers here. Somebody couldn't move on one side of the body.
My sister.
Okay. Is that going on now?
She still has problems, yes.
Okay. Again, that's just how your mama identifies coming through. Do you understand?
I do. I do
yes.
understand.
Now, she does tell me that you and her sister are very different, night and day different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very night and day different. And it's not that she wasn't connected with your sister because it was her daughter, but she said that you and her were exceptionally close.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you one other last thing because it's interesting because this came up tonight on the show, is that your mama says very clearly, without question, she's made contact with you since she's passed.
Yes, I know she has. But
yes.
I've been talking to her, and I was hoping that she would answer my question for me.
Well, I'm not going to go into the question answering because, quite honestly, that's not their job. Their job is to connect with you and let you know that they're around. But I will tell you, since she's around and since you feel her, I would take that as a positive.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
All right, there you go.
All right, Anna. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right.
Too.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling.
Well, you're welcome.
Oop, there we go. Now I've seen the light splash as soon as people will know that you're talking to other people. They're going to call in.
Right.
Interesting that interesting how you get like smells or that kind of information rather than just simple like language. Is that because the language is really an invention of our minds as opposed to a universal communication?
Well, first of all, I did get language. I got names. I got relationships. Okay? They're all identifiable stuff. So, it's not a computer printout, but I got the pass down of the names.
Right.
I knew that her mother passed. I knew that this was going on with her physically. So that was just in addition to the other things. But it's interesting because that's what you chose to focus on. Now, maybe that's because that's a big thing to you. Everybody's different. But, I'm just saying to you, I never know how they're going to come through, and everybody comes through differently. But very clearly, her mother identified by different other factors.
All right, well, we have someone else here now. This is, I guess, 817 area code.
Okay.
And
now,
hello,
I know
you are?
I know that, Dr. Rita also wanted you to mention that I am coming to the Dallas area.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay. Did
So,
you get that in?
Yes, I got that. I've got a list here that I'm going through. So,
okay.
We'll get to it. Can you, if this one could be a little quick with your questions?
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, 817.
Yes, that's me.
Yes. You have a question for Suzanne?
Yes, I do. Hi, Suzanne.
How you doing? Your name, please.
My name is Rose.
Hi, Rose. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful.
I've had a lot of tragedies in my family, so I'd just like to know if you hear from my mother, my brother, my sister. They were all killed in tragedies.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, interesting enough, your mother's here, but I got to tell you who comes in very strong, quite literally, Rose, is your brother.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, it's interesting. Did your sister go first, please?
No, my brother did.
Yeah,
my brother.
It's interesting because, see, he comes in before her, which usually shows me the line. Do you understand?
Uh-huh.
One of them quite literally had a very, very intense, some kind of a passing, I'm going to call it some kind of an accident, a freak passing that affected the upper part of their body. And I feel like boom, gone, boom, gone.
He did. He was killed instantly by a horse, and he died instantly of brain injuries.
Yeah, I felt like my upper part, I felt like if I would have lived, I would not have been right. Very clear. Now, it's interesting, very close to both your parents, very close to your mama. His passing really, really had a very big effect on her, Rose.
Oh, yes.
Very big. I mean, I feel like she never quite got over him, to be quite honest with you.
No, she didn't.
Yes. Now, I don't know if this is him or somebody who's connected to him, Rose, but I'm hearing quite literally a male with an M name. There's either a Michael or a Matt or a Mark that's tied in with them, please.
A man?
Could be female, that I'm hearing the same sound.
Oh, my mother's name was Molly. Molly,
thank you. Now, when she comes, isn't Daddy also passed?
No, my dad's in a nursing home.
So he's the one that's still here, but I'm distant with him, so that either means I'm picking him up either not all right or not all here or something, because a lot of times if people are not all of right mind, I'll get them distant. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Now, I did want to ask you this. Is he still living in the same state as you?
No, he lives in another state.
That's all, because your mother's telling me he lives elsewhere, so I took it to be quite literal. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. Now, I will tell you, wherever you raised, she's showing me what I would call actually a fairly nice, large house, very nostalgic, had very strong family connections. I don't know if that means that it was passed on within the family or it was very significant within your family.
Yes, it was significant. It's still in the family.
Yeah, I gather it. Now, it's either near a body of water, and I don't know if it's a smaller, it doesn't look like an ocean. It looks like more ponds or lakes or something, unless that was significant with your family growing up.
Yes, we did have a lake close to our house.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm getting like we all spent time there.
At the lake?
All spent time there.
Sometimes we'd go down the lake if they had water in it.
Yeah. But it comes as part of the nostalgic where you lived is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now, I'm also going to ask you this. So your brother passed first and your sister passed later?
No, my mother died in 85. She froze to death on the highway.
Okay. So, but let me ask you this. And your sister passed after that?
In 96, yeah, she drowned also.
Got it. Thank you. Because, you see, so that might be what you're talking about, water. Huh. That's what maybe why I'm picking up the water thing. Real strong. Real strong. Which one of them had the March of the May connection, please, Rose?
My parents' anniversary was in May, and my mother's birthday was in March.
Okay, got it. That's why I'm hearing both of them. Okay. Again, that's just the way they all let me know they're coming through. I will tell you something. They're very, very strong around you.
Really?
Very strong around you. Very, very strong around you. I'm going to ask you one other quick thing here. I'm going to take this to be quite literally from your mama, unless it's not from her. I'm from her mother. But literally, she's showing me a pendant.
A pendant.
A pendant. She's showing me something that looks like a pendant. This doesn't look like a cross. This looks like something that would be either circular or something I think was worn around the neck, but I hear it like a pendant or something to that sort. It could even be worn in the lapel, but she's showing it to me, and it's old.
I think that was one of the things that I got after she died.
Okay.
It was a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it was nostalgic to her, Rose, which means it was important to her, and it was important, again, and this stuff is not usually like material. It's more like a nostalgic thing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Your mother, by the way, was a tough cookie, just for the record.
Oh, yes.
A really, really tough cookie. And she says you got a lot of her blood, so that's nice.
Oh, yeah. I really ended up looking like her.
Yeah, well, there you go. All right. You have a great afternoon, Rose.
Wow, thank you. You really hit it on the head.
You're really welcome.
I want to call back and listen to you again.
Well,
do you have a website?
Do you have a
website?
I have a website. I also have my own radio show on Monday nights at 6 o'clock p.m. EST. Go to my website, SuzaneNorthrop.com or theseance.com. You'll click it on. You'll see that I have my show. It's every Monday nights on Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, okay. I'll get on there.
I'm coming to the Texas area at the beginning of October. I'm coming to Texas.
Oh, great.
So
where at in Texas?
I'm going to be in Dallas and in Houston.
That's where I live.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
you're welcome.
Ready. Why don't you give us that information about Texas?
Well, I'm going to be in Dallas October 1st and 2nd, and then I'm going to be in Houston on the 3rd. And all of that information is on my website. You can go there and check it out.
Right. So I mean that's what's good. Websites are just great for this stuff because I can't even imagine living with before the websites as far as getting information and where people are going to be and what's going on.
I also have a phone number. People can call. They can call my phone number, which is 888-692-8111. That's on the website as well. But you can get there by SuzaneNorthrop.com, or you can get there by theseance.com. You can Google my name. There's thousands of pages. You will have no problem finding me.
All right. Now, we got a couple minutes left here. Somebody's asking about whether you do relationship readings or not. I guess if you have a relationship with someone who passed, but I mean, as far as current relationships,
I don't really do relationships.
Count, right?
It's not really my specialty. No, I'm a traditional medium. Mine's about making connection with people that have passed over.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have what's new? You got your book, Sam's Healings from Beyond. Do you have something new planned you're working on?
My last book was the Medium's Cookbook, and I'm going to probably be doing the Medium's Cookbook Part 2, and I'm going to be doing a new Kindle from Everything Happens for Reasons. So I got two books.
Actually, if I could sneak another question here before we run out, I never really thought about a medium's cookbook. I mean, is there food that would literally help your soul?
Well, actually, it's a very sort of clever thing. It's really a medium's cookbook because what do we do with a cookbook? We cook, and it's really a step-by-step banquet that helps people learn how to make their own connections. That's really the premise of the book.
Oh, okay, like chicken soup for the soul type thing. Okay,
right.
I'm thinking it's literally the cookbook. I'm going, wow, you can make food that helps your soul. I'm thinking,
Well, I think you can make food that helps your soul. I think you can. I definitely think you can.
I guess at least you can make food that would help a connection or whatnot.
Well,
stuff?
There's an interesting between, nurturing and nourishing. So, they're sort of kind of on the same, level, because when we lose people, we need to be nurtured. Food often does that, but love also does that. So it's sort of a kind of a deal,
Do you feel out somebody that maybe it's not a good idea they connect with the other side, or are you just simply the tool, and it's really up to both sides whether they connect?
Yeah, I'm basically the telephone wire. That's what I do.
So you don't make any kind of judgments on your own. It's really up to both parties.
Yeah, I act as the in-between. That's what I do. I provide information, just like I did to the callers, to let them know that their loved ones were around. That's what I do.
Well, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Have you ever been kind of freaked out by a connection?
Never. I have never been freaked out about the other world. This world is another story, but never. I've never had an issue with the other world. And that's a fact.
What if somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer's brother wanted to talk to him? I mean, is that something that you still would do?
If his brother wanted to talk to him, more than likely he'd probably show up. I can't say for sure, but it's whatever he did has nothing to do with the fact that this man's his brother. One's got nothing to do with the other. If you think about it, it's still his brother. And if he wanted to connect with him, and he was so apt to do it, then that would be it.
Right. I guess that's the main thing. Your point here.
Yeah, well, there are people that have, intense connections to people that they love, and they might not have been the nicest people in the world, but they're still their connections. They're still their family.
Right, that's true. And if the love is the overriding factor, then that
love is the overriding factor. They'll say, a mother loves their son or their daughter no matter what. So there you go.
And that is really that's really good too, to not to look back, but to look forward. And I guess making these connections can help people.
I'm not placed in any position to judge people in their lives. That's between them and the main source is upstairs.
Well, I thank you, Suzane Northrop, for being here to talk about talking to live people on the other side. Website The Seance. And again, appreciate you spending this time with us.
You're really, really welcome.
All righty. Sure, clicking the right buttons here. Now we're going to take a break, and we will come back for hour number 2 and talk to Alexis Rice on numerology, magic of numbers. See you on the other side.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
Balance in all things is critical to maintaining health. In the hectic drive of today's world, many of us forget to take care of our most important asset, ourselves. At ProductsForTheSoul.com, we want to support your effort to nurture yourself. We offer a wide variety of herbs, supplements, and high-quality, ready-to-eat, all-natural foods. We even offer holographic chip technology products that can augment the body's natural ability to increase energy, improve sleep, and mitigate pain. Best of all of our products are delivered straight to your door. It's time to start loving yourself. Visit ProductsForTheSoul.com and let us help you along the way. Take a journey to the dark side of the spirit world and meet the bad kids on the block in Dark Angels, an insider's guide to ghosts, spirits, and attached entities. Who are these bad kids? As a child, you might have met one at night, under your bed, in your closet, or down a dark hallway. Dark Angels isn't a dull dissertation about ghosts, It's filled with revealing information about how these dark forces can influence our lives. Order your copy of Dark Angels today. Visit www.darkangelsbook.com for more information.
Move past the crossroads in your life and discover alternative solutions to your deepest concerns at soulhealer.com. So whether it's a physical problem, an emotional issue, a question about work, or troubles in your relationship, naturopath and medical intuitive Dr. Rita Louise can help you. Bring peace, harmony, and health back into your life. Schedule a session today. Visit soulhealer.com right away and live the life you've been dreaming of.